We learned even more bombshell information and testimony in day 2 of the Evelyn Boswell trial. We're going to talk about the morning session in today's video. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. Psh, sofa's there. Psh, I'm right here. My name's Paul if you're new to the channel. If you're not new to the channel, guess what? My name's still Paul. We are going to be talking about and doing another update on the Evelyn Boswell trial. It is currently going on. It is February 6, 2025. Now, what I'm going to do is, I've been live streaming it on my other channel, but I make notes of some highlights as we go. This is the morning session of day 2. I had to do stuff in the afternoon, so I wasn't able to go live stream that one and whatnot. So I wanted to talk about some of the highlights that we saw in this, okay? Literally just had my phone, made notes as we watched it. I'm just going to use them as talking points and go down the list. We start the day off with some interview, and I'll do a video on it where I kind of break down the interview and whatnot, but we see a good portion, like 30-some minute clip of her interview with police. She says that she rolled over on the baby. She panics. The boyfriend, which is a new boyfriend that she's only been with for like maybe a week, Hunter, it says, we can't call anyone, we'll go to jail, this, that, and the other. So Megan says that she held baby Evelyn for hours. She's wrapped in a fleece blanket. The boyfriend takes her, he's gone for 45 minutes. He kept telling her, allegedly, now remember, I don't believe any of this, that, oh, she's nearby. But Megan would keep saying, I didn't want to know. And it's like, okay. So she thinks that Evelyn is at his house or her dad's or a boat dock. Then the cops say that Megan, the ones that are interviewing her, they're like, you've lied for 6 days. They ask her, what would Hunter say if they talked to him? And she says, he'll say that he never met her. Remember, he's never actually met baby Evelyn, okay? And her father will get on the stand and almost like kind of confirm this. So, but we haven't heard from Hunter yet as of now. Okay, so they've only been dating for a week. She went to the chicken shack. I don't know if he owns that or is the manager yet, but she interviews with him, she gets a job. So this happens very quickly, right? Maybe they get flirty at work, whatever. Now, Megan was saying this, she's like, I've slept with Evelyn 1,000 times. I always slept with her. And, you know, the one time that he sleeps in the bed with her, like she sleeps between them, this happens and she is suffocated. She takes their bait about the trash. So, you know, the cops are doing what the cops do. We need to bring her home. What's the truth? This, that, and the other. And they mention a trash bag. Like, did he take a trash bag or anything like this? Well, she circles back around eventually. And she's like, well, he took the garbage can, but I didn't want to know. And as we're watching this in the live stream, I was like, oh, she's picking their bait up and she's running with it, right? She's piecing the story together as she goes. The cop calls her out on all the lies that she's told. Imagine that. The cop says that the interview was the first time she started saying that Evelyn was dead and not missing. So when they're questioning the officer on the stand who talked to her, and you know, in the video, he's like, this is the first time that the narrative has changed, right? Of all these days. So she's made all this stuff up and now all of a sudden she's telling the truth. Okay, so figure that out. So the cops took a little bit to get to Tommy. Tommy is the father. Okay, we're going to hear from him in just a minute. And the cop says it was because she had said so many lies, they didn't know what was what. So when the defense gets up there and they're talking like, well, how come you didn't do this and how come you didn't do that? It's because they're like, she told so many lies, we didn't know which way was up, we were doing this, we were doing that. So the man of the hour, Tommy Boswell, her dad gets on the stand, okay? Okay, this man is clearly visibly upset, right? Breaks your heart. You can tell that he loved baby Evelyn. And, you know, it said in the chat room at one point, I was like, at least we know Evelyn had that. Because the more that we learned about Megan, her behavior, her lack of, it's like, okay, at least the dad clearly looked out for her, right? And let's talk about the ways that he did that. The dad pays for everything, right? Megan stayed with the dad for a little bit, but he was like, she wouldn't keep her room clean. It was causing issues at the house, so she had to go. Keep in mind, he literally is like, well, she wouldn't keep her room clean. Keep that in mind right there, because we're going to talk about her level of filth in a minute. He was being very generous. The dad owns a trailer park, and he's basically like, we had a trailer there for her. And Ashley, who he said is soon to be his ex-wife, and Megan cleaned it up or whatever, it was like, basically had this free trailer for her and the baby to live in. So Megan moves out and she completely trashes the trailer. We will hear testimony in a minute of the dude how to clean it up, and it's really, really bad. Okay, so he gets upset throughout it. I just made note of that. Like, he's clearly visibly upset. He said that Megan was supposed to have been living with Hunter. Dad meets them around Christmas time, meets Hunter. He says on a trip to Pigeon Forge, Evelyn's not there. And she's like, oh, Evelyn's with Ethan. Ethan was the pretend baby's father that Megan had convinced was the baby's real father, but he wasn't. He was in the army, in the barracks. The baby's not with him. But she uses him as an excuse. The father, Megan's father, Tommy, says the last time that he saw Evelyn was Thanksgiving. He asked numerous times where the baby was, but she always had a story. Then she was like, Hunter's mom is watching her. Then she said Ethan has her. Then she said Ethan won't give her back. Finally, he says enough is enough. I'm going to call the cops. And he does so. Praise this man, right? He tells them that he saw Megan's car backed up to the shed in the playhouse area at one point. So he's like actively like, I don't know what's going on, but we need to find Evelyn. And then he's going back over his mind like, oh, wait a minute. There was one day where she was backed up, to the shed in the playhouse area, which is the playhouse is where the remains were ultimately found. Now, the defense will then question Mr. Boswell, and they immediately go in for he has these past convictions, and they want to start kind of stumping him up. And the dad will sit here and say, he's like, what does this have to do with that case? And the defense is trying to use this and whatnot, and it falls flat on their face because an argument starts to happen where they're like saying the conviction, and let's say the defense said it was 2014. The dad's like, well, I haven't been convicted of anything since 2012. And they're like, but this is 2014. He's like, no, it's 2012. And there's a squabbling, and I'm sitting here as a participant viewer saying, okay, the jury has to be looking at this like, this poor grandfather is on the thing, barely able to keep it together. You're going over convictions of his that happened this long ago and fighting with him over it for what, huh? And so they quickly walk away from this, right? Then the defense establishes that anyone with a gate clicker can open the gate or walk around it. So the property where they're at, which this is like where Tommy lives, his mother lives over here, there's a playhouse, it's like almost like a little compound, right? So there's a gate that, it locks like a gate. And Megan had a clicker. And now one of the things for the defense is going to be that Hunter came and disposed of the body, throwing doubt and all this type of stuff. So that's why the defense, and honestly, for the defense, this is a good point to bring up for them. Obviously, I'm not for them, but it's, it is what it is. When they were like, oh, so anybody with a clicker could get in. It could be in Megan's car, but anybody driving that car could have that. Well, yeah, technically so. And so they established this. Also, another, let's say, win for the defense on that was that they basically established that although Tommy saw Megan's car backed up there to where the remains were ultimately found, he did not actually see Megan. So you can see where the defense is going to try and go with well, that could have been anyone in Megan's car, like her new boyfriend. See, she said he went and took it, or took the remains. There's that. Then, okay, Alston Feller gets on the stand. Now, if you've been watching this, you'll know that Alston had gotten a subpoena, had received a subpoena. He did not show. The judge was not happy. The judge brings him into court. He's like, you are on a $500 bond, and if you do not show up, I will revoke it, and you will remain incarcerated while this trial is going on. Okay, so Alston lived in the trailer park. Alston did work to basically get free rent. Alston is the one who went into Megan's trailer and cleaned it up after the fact when she moved out. He said there was diapers molded to the floor. You couldn't even get to the fridge. There's feces on the ground. There's rotten milk on the stove. They show pictures of this place. Y'all, I'm talking disgusting, okay? It was bad, right? Keep in mind, Megan's living there for free, allegedly. Dad's paying, here's a trailer, you can live for free. Remember, she has his granddaughter. He's trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's trying to make things happen. And I mean, it's awful, y'all. Then James Lewis comes up, and he's with the Department of Children's Services. They have a report about Evelyn with the lack of supervision and abuse. They do a home check. This is actually, I believe, Hunter's house. And they're basically like, we need to see proof that you have had a baby in your possession, basically. So they're like, well, they showed us a dress, and they showed us a sippy cup, and she had a memory box. And I was like, this feels like props. Like, this does not, no, a baby has not been here, right? Like, it's well, hold on, let's go downstairs and I'll get a toy. You know what I mean? It felt so off, and that all kind of adds up. Now after this part, they go to lunch, they take a break. What I want to do is like kind of talk about a couple of things here. Going into this, and I actually just was conversating on another video or a little live chat or whatever with Joshua Ritter, and we were talking about this case. And, he brought up a good point when I said this, because I was like, watching this in the chat room on the podcast channel, we had this image of maybe how Megan lived or what the complete home life was like. And just, because we've seen the stuff with the mom and the issues and Megan blaming the mom and this, that, and the other, whatever. So, for example, when, it was like, okay, baby Evelyn was found in a trash can in the playhouse, my thought process was like, oh, I'm envisioning a Fisher-Price plastic playhouse, but it's moldy, it's gross, it's dingy, it's like in the woods somewhere on the property, it's just gross, and this is where it is. Well, the playhouse is actually a wooden little 2-story playhouse that Megan's grandfather made for Megan. So it was like Megan's playhouse. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's pretty nice. I mean, they've trashed it, obviously. It's like more of a storage thing, but okay. Well, then they used drone footage, and they were going to show us the gate in the grandmother's house, which the playhouse is like right there, right? So when they do that, I was like, oh, what? This is a beautiful piece of property. It's very clean and taken care of. And I was like, I'm not expecting this, especially once you see how Megan was living in the trailer. And then when we find that out of like, because the dad's talking about like what he paid for and whatnot, he's like, I got the baby diapers, I did this, I bought Megan's car cash. And you're like, oh, what? He owned a trailer park? That was cash cow, right? So I'm like, wait a second. I was envisioning this whole other thing and like this completely desperate scenario or situation or something, right? And I believe what Joshua said is like, she had these resources that we were not expecting, and that was yes. I wasn't expecting that, you know what I mean, at all. Now, we also learned from the father that, when child services got involved with Megan, like if she was at the mom's house, Megan wanted to go to school. Even if legal stuff got involved, like she just wanted to go. So you can see there's almost like these two worlds, and the dad seemed to have it together a little bit more is what I'm getting at. But also it made it hit home even more that it was like, oh, this was just, I don't know if she was just lazy. I don't know if she just didn't, if Evelyn got in her way of partying. I don't know, okay? But it's completely shifted my perception of this case every day of the trial that we watch. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Watching the interview at the beginning, and now from my understanding, I've gotten some texts from people that they showed more of it after lunch, so I might catch up on that one. We'll do that later. But watching Megan with her fake tears and like picking up pieces of the story and whatnot, I was like, oh, she's not dumb. No, she's very swift, right? She knows when to pick up and manipulate and do this and do that. So we're not dealing with like a dumb person, if you will. I, don't like using that word, but it is what it is. We're dealing with possibly pure evil, okay? I don't know any other way to say it. It's more haunting. And I'll sum up this video with this. I was talking again in the live chat, and I told everybody, I said, watching this and my perception of like, oh, wait, okay, hold on, like this is different. I just keep going back to her giggling and laughing, talking about Evelyn with the sippy cup, listening to a baby shark with her little, onesie and all this type stuff. And it's so haunting. And I wonder also aloud, what would go through Megan's mind, if anything, had she gotten away with this every time she walked by that playhouse? Would that have been her dirty little secret? Because it seems that that's what Evelyn was. It was just something that she discarded, that no longer fit her life. That's where she would remain, is the playhouse, I guess. I don't know. Absolutely heartbreaking. But again, more and more evidence is coming forth that makes me wonder why they even took it to trial, but we shall see. Anyways, that's it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. I do appreciate it if you are still watching. If you are still watching and you are in the comment section, please drop off some little sofas for Roscoe and Spirit, Bo and Luke, who are actually being babysat right now, and well, the rest of the Sofa Squad. So we'll have a place to sit and talk about this case, all the other cases we do talk about here at the Sofa Squad. And until we do all that, I'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the on the Instagram. Go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.